Hello and welcome to another Game Nexus video. Today we're going to be taking a look at Dead or Alive 2 for the Sega Dreamcast. This game was released in the year 2000, and just like Dead or Alive 1, in fact more so for this game, there were multiple versions of this game that were released. This is the original American version, which as you can see has that fancy disc art with Ion A and Ein on the cover doing his two-finger signal there. And this version was released on February 29th of the year 2000. And then followed shortly next by the European version, which was released on July 14th of the year 2000. This actually added a couple of things compared to the American version. Same art, but of course you get your PAL blue stripes on the side here and everything. And you get these weird double CD cases that, there's only one CD in here, of course. And, of course, the big multilingual manual. And then, as I'd mentioned in my other video, you get the, Acclaim software catalog, because Acclaim published a few of the Dead or Alive games in Europe. And then, finally, we got Dead or Alive 2. The Japanese version. Now this game for some reason is often labeled Dead or Alive 2 Limited Edition, but from what research I was able to look up, I never saw Tecmo actually label this game in such a way. And I'm going to dispel a rumor, stigma, whatever you call it right now, but this version here is not Dead or Alive 2 Regular Edition, and this is not Dead or Alive 2 Limited Edition. If you're wondering, I just got this a few days ago, but these are actually, even though they have different catalog numbers, from what I could tell, they are actually the same game. They pull from the same save file, and they have the same rear art here. They just have a different cover. Although I can personally say I think this cover looks a little cooler. Although, don't get me wrong, they're both a very cool cover. I just wanted to show you real quick here. If you see, I'm just going to do this all the old-fashioned style, just to give you a quick look at how limited this version of the game is. Let's just pop the disc in here. We're just going to put on the Dreamcast, and just in case you didn't know, what I like to do here is connect it to my Dreamcast VGA box, and that plugs into my good old 20-inch VGA monitor here. And actually, that's just going to boot right into the game. And you'll notice it just loaded the save right off of the VMU. You might not be able to hear that too well because it's just not that loud at the moment. I'm just going to put the tripod, set the tripod up here. I just wanted to give you a quick look at what this version of the game is, how limited it is. The intro of Dead or Alive 2 appears to be the same in all the versions, strangely enough. So I'll be showing that to you in the Dead or Alive 2 for the Japanese market. But if you take a look here, you'll notice it doesn't have as many options. And if you go into your story mode here, you'll see 4 costumes for Kasumi, which are like this one. And I don't know if you can hear that on the camera, but the Dreamcast does load quite a bit. That one. Then there's the one where she's like that. And then this one. Whereas in other versions of the game, there were a lot more. Ayane has 3. Ein has 2. Li Fang has 4. Jan Li has 3. Zack has 3. Leon has 2. Bass has 2. Tina has 2. Genfu has 2. Helena has 2, and Hayabusa has 3. So as you can see, it was a rather limited version of the game, because there really wasn't much time to develop much when you consider that this game came out in the arcade on October 16th of 1999, and then it was released on February 29th, so that was only a few months to actually develop this version of the game, so they really didn't have much time to, like, put new content into this. But Yeah, that's enough of Dead or Alive 2, the original American version. So I'm gonna show you the main event here. But as you may or may not know, we have our tag battle, we have our survival mode, team battle, sparring, versus if I had another controller plugged in, but as you'll know, I just have this one plugged in. So we're gonna turn off the console. And now, if you have the original games like I do, and you don't want to mod your console or anything, all you need is this. This is what's called DCX. It's actually a retail boot disk that will not only boot the games, but boot them into VGA mode. So I just open my Dreamcast, take the DCX disk. You need to make sure your system is able to read CDs. Put it into the console, turn it on, it'll boot like usual. And strangely enough, on the VGA monitor, I don't know if you can see that in the video, but you'll notice on the screen here, there's all the scan lines in there. It's kind of interlacing it so it can display the image properly. Here's the disc of this other version of Dead or Alive 2. And if you see, I have to open the system, and then it'll tell me to close it, pop the DCX disc out, and a pointer that I have to mention to everybody about the boot discs for the Dreamcast is always make sure your boot disc is clean, because I've seen times when the boot disc has like some dirt or something on it, and you go to put in your game and then it won't read properly. So I'm going to close the tray, hit a button on the controller just to make sure it gives us our options menu so we can select the boot into the VGA mode so it'll display on the monitor here properly. And then you see it gives you options. It gives you your NTSC PAL, your VGA. That's that cable that you use in the PAL regions. I think it's called like SCRAT or something like that. You can correct me if I'm wrong. And then of course composite. Now this disc can sometimes be used to boot games that don't want to boot into VGA. And of course, original import games like this can be booted into VGA mode. Well, I've taken up enough of your time. Let's take a look at the game. So I'm just going to press the, well, not press the A button, press the start button here. Oh, my bad, it was this, yeah, there you go. And then it'll just boot the game like it normally would, and we'll get right into this. And you always get that thunderclap when the Team Ninja logo comes on. And of course the same old Dead or Alive title screen. And we're gonna get right into the intro with Bomb Factory's Exciter song.
お母様。やっ。行け。サマンダーバサルダンカンナーマクサマンダーバサルダンカンラインクンオンバザレダソバンオンバザレダトーバン。
そやから女になれよ。
And of course, due to this game using that song, it actually really popularized the song much more than anyone could have possibly thought it would. As you'll notice already, there are several options, including the UPS and the internet option. UPS is just select your records are saved in a special way, and then the internet is to upload rankings. And now you'll notice in the character select, we have 7 costumes for Kasumi. Especially this one here. I always liked this one, thought it was really cool. 4 costumes for Ryu, Hayabusa. 5 costumes for Helena. 4 costumes for Genfu now. 6 costumes for Tina, which I believe she only had 2. 4 costumes for Bass. 4 costumes for Leon. 5 costumes for Zack. 5 costumes for Janli. 5 costumes for Li Fang. 5 costumes for Ain. And there are a whole 7 costumes for Ayane. And I always thought this one was really cool looking. And now if you look in the time pack mode, you notice now that Bayman, who has 3 costumes, is available as a selectable character. And also Tengu, who is the ending boss, he's a selectable character, which was not present in the earlier versions of the game. So we're going to get right into this. I'm going to select Ain for this playthrough, and you'll notice my UPS file there. I'm just going to choose his default costumes because, yeah, if you've really never played much of Dead or Alive 2, you probably have never seen it. And whatever Dead or Alive 2 has to load, it has to initialize the DOA 2 engines. And if you're familiar with arcade to console conversions, you'll have to agree with me that this one is beautiful. It looks basically arcade perfect. Maybe a little bit lesser, but it's just such a minimal difference that I really wouldn't count it, honestly. This has to be one of the most perfect arcade to console conversions. But then again, as I had mentioned in my last video, since the Sega Naomi and the Sega Dreamcast actually are so similar, it was very easy to actually take these games and put them on the Sega Dreamcast because they just had to like downgrade just a little, basically, and then you had a game on your Sega Dreamcast with little to no work. Hence why it only took a few months to make this game, whereas it would have taken a lot longer if they had to port it to another console, which was like completely different than the Sega Naomi console. Now honestly, this next scene here makes no sense to me. I never quite understood why he dreams of Tengu dancing like that, unless this is trying to signify that Tengu's trying to put like a hex on him or something, and this is kind of happening right now. That's the only thing I can understand. Or it could be that when they had him captured and they were doing all these weird experiments on him, Tengu was actually doing this to him. But it's never really all that explained. He just has this like weird Tengu dream. And he's like, what was that? What happened to me? And I always thought this was cool, the Danger Zone would actually load the explosive things. And now we get to face newcomer Leon here.
So of course, the reason why they didn't include Bayman in the original Dead or Alive 2 is, from what I understand, the idea was that Leon was actually to replace Bayman, so that's why they didn't include him in the original version of this game. At least that's what I had actually got from what they had done there. And you'll notice once again here's the moving danger zone, just like in Dead or Alive 1 and in the arcade version. And I know I'd mentioned this in the arcade version video, but if you had noticed in the intro, I just always think it was funny how it's like, she's like, you're no longer under mind control. Come, or as in the later versions, you say, brace yourself. And then, of course, in the intro, Ein goes on to just start beating her up, and I'm thinking to myself, if she's saying, brace yourself, shouldn't she be the aggressor and not get beat up? That's just what I always thought about this. I always thought that was just kind of a weird thing where he's like, oh my god, I'm gonna get you now. Oh my god, you got me. I just always thought that was a very strange thing they did in that scene there. And I don't know if you noticed it while the replay was playing there, but on some of the monitors in the spiral stage there, the intro movie from Dead or Alive 1, there are actually certain little pieces and bits of it that are playing in kind of an endless loop there. And I definitely thought that was just pretty cool that they added that in, kind of to give it like an homage to the original game. You could kind of see like, I believe it was like Zack and Jan Lee doing something on the monitors there. And as I showed you the Tengu and Bayman, they're only playable in like any mode other than story mode, because you can't play either of those characters in story mode because they don't have a story. So it's just a nice little addition. And for some reason he wanted to keep on doing the same wind pose. I always liked when he was like good vibration, especially in English voices, which you'll probably hear in the next video. And I always thought some of the translations of that cutscene there were a little bit strange. Like, really what she's saying in Japanese is she's questioning him about being her brother. But in the Dead or Alive Ultimate, they change it to something like, Hayate, what's going on? That's another thing I always thought was weird about Kasumi. When she's like, I will win this battle, but she just beat him. Why is she saying she's gonna win this battle? And that's another thing I noticed in this. Like, when you continue as Hayate, Ein, Hayate, same person. If you know anything about the storyline, Ein is basically Hayate with his memory gone. But why would he be telling Kasumi, don't come near me? If she's saying she knows him, wouldn't that be something that'd be good for him to find out what she knows, so he can get his memory back? He wouldn't want to, like, wave her away. And I think in that scene, he's just kind of like, oh my god, she knows me, what could she possibly know? And I always thought it was kind of cool how the Japanese writing goes right on the screen in this scene. It just makes it much more dramatic, if you will. And another weird thing about this scene is if you see it's like pouring rain, and all of a sudden when he flips off the tree, it's not. My only guess is they couldn't like do the rain as well as they did it in that scene, or maybe it would have slowed the scene down. But one interesting thing I gotta tell you, I'll probably repeat this in the next video, but in Dead or Alive 2 for Dreamcast, the game runs at 60 frames per second, but the cutscenes only run at 30. I don't know if it was a limitation of the Dreamcast or if it was just how it's developed. Maybe they figured they're only cutscenes, you're never really gonna notice, so they never really worried about if you'd be able to tell the difference between the gameplay and the cutscenes. And then again, just like in the arcade version, it just does the, basically the cutscenes are played in a black and white montage here. And there's your crazy Tengu doing his Tengu dance. And of course, Project Epsilon was a failure. But yeah, the Dead or Alive 2 on Dreamcast is definitely an excellent game. One thing I definitely have to say, comparing it to the PlayStation 2 version, the Dreamcast version just seems a bit more colorful. The colors are more vibrant. Maybe the color palette kind of got drowned out in the porting process when they had to port the game onto the PlayStation 2. But if you really compare the two, you'll notice that it doesn't look as clean on the PlayStation 2. So, yeah, that's one real big strength I see for the Dreamcast version of this game, is just the color palette. And now that I've shown you this game, I just want to show you something real quick. You know, I'd mentioned the real demo code in the arcade video. If your age is down below 18, and or you don't have the real demo code added, I'm going to show you what actually happens. So now if I go into here, and I take my age down below 18. I'm going to take it all the way down to 13, which is the low setting. Then you go to exit and saves your setting, of course. And now when we go back to the intro, this is what happens. Instead of seeing your spinning Kasumi and her jelly, you see a spinning Tengu. Well, that's all for this video. I shall see you later. Bye.